Jeff Williams left a 20-year career in corporate sales and marketing at the age of 39 to become an entrepreneur. About 10 years later, Jeff put his startup know-how to work at Bizstarters, the company he started to coach 50-plus Americans transitioning to entrepreneurship. I talked with Jeff recently about why boomers are catching the startup bug in such large numbers, and why so many are winding up as sole practitioners working from home. Jeff also offered up his top 5 tips for would-be entrepreneurs.
Jeff, tell me a little bit about what you see in your work in terms of boomers who express this desire to keep working and yet don't see opportunity for themselves in the corporate landscape.
Well, you're talking some really big numbers here, Mark. You're talking about 75% of 78 million boomers who say they want to continue to work. You're probably looking at least 25 million who potentially would be looking to stay in the corporate world. But between the fact that the corporate world really isn't prepared to have them stay on the payroll and the fact that a lot of them are just burnt out. You know, I've spent 30 years in the corporate world, sometimes in thankless assignments, sometimes, you know, for 3% a year increase in their salary, they want out. So what's the alternative? The alternative is to change careers completely, go into a completely different field of endeavor, maybe get some new education, but you still end up with a job someplace. The other one, of course, is to do something entrepreneurial. Part-time, full-time, consultant, freelance, moonlight. There's probably 10 different ways to do it.
Do you find that most of the people who choose the entrepreneurial path wind up doing something that's kind of a sole proprietor sort of a job as opposed to starting a business with employees?
Yes. As a matter of fact, this is a key ingredient for these people that we deal with, is that they want as much no muss, no fuss as possible in doing this. They really don't want to have to bring on outside partners. They don't really want to have to worry about a major financial investment. Most of them want to work from home because most of them are empty nesters now. They've got maybe a 4-bedroom house with 2 people in it. There's plenty of room to put the business in their house. They really purposely come to us when we're helping them with startup and say, hey, we want a simple formula here. Even if we only make $25,000 or $30,000 a year doing it, it's the ease of doing it that's more important than anything. Well, there are 5 basic things that they can do while they're still working. Number 1 is to make sure they understand technology pretty well, at least basic internet browsing, using certain kinds of software like word processing programs, possibly PowerPoint. If they don't have a real high level of confidence, they should take some software classes while they're still working. Number 2 would be to look at the business equipment. What do they need? Do they need some furniture? Do they need a better computer? Do they need a laptop in addition to a desktop? Maybe $2,000 or $3,000 worth of investment. It goes down a lot easier when you got a steady paycheck than if you wait. Number 3 would be to, if they haven't already done it, I would definitely suggest they get a home equity loan because it's very hard to get it when you become self-employed. And although I'm not suggesting that this be their first line of investment, it's real useful to have it. Number 4 would be to start looking for health insurance alternatives while you're still working in the corporate world. It's not always that easy to find private health insurance the way you want it. In my case, I'm very fortunate. My wife's always got the insurance, and it continued after she retired. We pay a lot of money for it, but we we have the continuity. And I say the 5th thing would be to try out your basic process in the business. Whatever it is you're going to sell, try some transactions while you're still working. If it's consulting, try to get a part-time gig you can do on weekends. If it's selling a product, try producing the product, packaging it, put up your initial website. Try it out while you're still working, because then you have the flexibility to invest some more marketing money in the early stages to see what's working for you and what isn't. Because a lot of people have a tendency to invest so much money in the equipment of starting a business, they don't leave enough money for marketing.
Do most of these people wind up doing something in the industry they're already in?
Generally, yes. As a matter of fact, we really consider one of the foundation elements of our startup approach is that you should do something you know quite well. It's not a great time in life to try to both learn a whole new set of nuts and bolts and start a revenue-producing business from it at the same time. Now, obviously, there isn't a big exception to this, and that is the people who go into franchising. Because franchising is built around a premise that you don't know anything about the technical part of the business, and that their system will teach you that. And that works for some people. But the downside on franchising is that they truly is not really an entrepreneurial endeavor. You're really more of a business manager. That's really what they're looking for in franchisees. They really want somebody to take this proven formula, which you're paying a lot of money for, maybe $100,000 for, so you should take their advice. And they're going to tell you every little detail because they've proved it. So on one hand, that is a way to get into a business. For example, my Speedy printer was started by a husband and wife who knew nothing about printing. He left the corporate world 15 years ago and just decided, after looking at a lot of franchises, there was good steady money to be made in printing.
Yeah.
Didn't really know anything about it, really wasn't that interested in it, and it took him 5 or 6 years through the franchise to really learn how to run it. Most of our clients, they really only want to be self-employed for maybe 6 or 7 years. If it takes you 5 years to figure out the nuts and bolts of the business, you've consumed a lot of that time period.